Thank you, Jesus. Hallelujah. When we say that to God be the glory, that means at all times. At all times. Hallelujah. Now, there are things, you do for the Lord. There are things that you do for the Lord. And they are registered in heaven. Hallelujah. Now, those things which are registered in heaven, they are registered because you have done them sacrificially. When you serve the Lord, and until you come to that place of sacrifice, remember when David said that I'll not give unto God what doesn't cost me? You remember that? So it can actually cost your time. It can cost your resources. It can cost a lot of things. But actually, even that which you call your time is actually God's time. You see, a lot of children of God don't know those things. They just, if it's service, serving God, they just do things. They just do things. So in there is no reward. There are things you do for the Lord. I want you to listen to me carefully on these things. Somewhere, remember in John, I think it's in John or Matthew, where Mary poured that oil, that expensive oil, and to the feet, which we call honor. You see, Then Mary took a pound of very costly oil of spikenard, anointed the feet of Jesus, and wiped his feet with her hair. You see, she went, you see that? It wasn't just, the oil is there. There is the money for the whole. Don't disturb me. You see, but didn't you want this? Just like Anasha, that would actually just say, but don't you see the seat? For you don't you have eyes? She went all over and beyond. You see what she started doing? Then later on, when Lazarus dies, somewhere he says that it was that Mary that honored Jesus. Meaning that there are things you do and they are registered in heaven. Somehow, you'll be remembered for that. Somehow. Don't just do things. Let me tell you. It can cost you the mandamanos. I don't know what those guys are. It can cost you the weather. At some point, some people don't know how much some of us labor for them. You see, if a child of God is still into mandamanos and whatever, and that is actually the conversation in their hearts, then they are in for it. I'm telling you, something so simple can really scare them off. Hallelujah. I said there are things you do. He says that, it was that Mary. And actually in all versions, those things actually are in brackets. In all. He says, it was that Mary. It was that. Now you can actually put your name. If this guy gets it. It was that Mary. It was that Peter that sacrificed. It was, I'm telling you, now it is remembered. Now the Lord didn't have a choice. Couldn't actually withhold anything, but just actually to release all the power to resurrect that guy. Because, some of you don't know where Mary came from. Mary was actually Lazarus was the brother to who? to Mary. Says it was that Mary. Can the Lord say that about you? Or says, instead of actually you, now another person actually takes your place. You see, remember Cornelius, how he enters, you know, the Hall of Fame of heaven. Cornelius, an unbeliever, because of his giving, boom, he's there. And then it was remembered of him. So, this one now. By the way, he didn't give because he was genuine. I mean because he was wealthy and whatever. You see, because you can as well have, but actually you still were stingy. You can have. Remember, so it's said of the Shunammite woman. You see, she went also over and above. Otherwise, she could have said, see, I see this man of God always coming, passing by and all that. But also she went over and above, to set up a what? Says it was that Mary. Now, can you put your name there? You see that? It was. Are you see here now? Whose brother? Lazarus was sick. Later on, do you know what happened? Let me tell you, we had no choice but to resurrect that guy. You understand that thing? I'm saying again, there are things you do for the Lord. Specifically for the Lord. And actually, at some point, because it becomes your nature, you are doing things, but actually you might actually not even know that actually you are doing them for the Lord. But actually, you are doing them for the Lord. You see, can you imagine? So the Lord remembered, it was that Mary. Mary, you're talking of who? No, I'll come. But of course, we first teased them. I said, no, that this is not for what? You see, tell them I'm coming. But you all know that, it was all for the glory of God. To showcase the glory of God. You see, there are things you can do. Let me tell you. I know some of you are planning on how to, you know that movie, Escape what? Fellowship has started, and you're like, man, I cannot afford not to be there when it's starting. Then you plan your escape route, what, before they get to know, you already in the what? In the hall. Let me tell you. Maybe also those who are actually doing something for the Lord, you're like, how can I? You girl in pink, are you working really? Where are you working? Posta Kenya. Posta Kenya. Okay. No, don't laugh. We are trying to create something for you, a better way. Because you see, spiritually speaking, at some point I saw you looking for a job, but now when it's like that, we actually now get the alternative, the better alternative, so that when it comes, or something actually springs up before now that, because now, Posta Uganda, Posta Uganda, Posta Kenya, okay. I'll lay hands on you to quicken that up, so that it's just a smooth transitioning. You see, hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. Give me 1 John 5, verse 4. You can even start from 1. 1 John. Thank you, Jesus. He says, whoever. Somewhere it says, whatsoever is born of God. Whatsoever. Now, actually, give me verse 4. For whatever. Give me whatsoever. Okay. I will limit it to for whatsoever. Whatsoever. Because you see, when it says for everyone, it can actually limit you to just a person. It says, for whatsoever is born of God overcometh the world. I know most people don't understand this language. You see, they can be English words, but you can interpret them spiritually. And this is the victory that overcometh the world, even our faith. For whatsoever is born of God. Yeah? Okay, you can as well say, for whatsoever is born again. Okay, now take me back to verse 1. It says, whosoever believeth that Jesus is the Christ is born of God. You see? You see the factor? You see the element that makes you, that maketh you? And everyone that loveth him that begat loveth him also that is begotten of him. Go down. By this we know that we love the children of God. Then, when we love God and keep his commands. Now, these commandments are not the 10 commandments, as a lot of people actually think. Go down. Then he says, for this is the love of God, that we keep his commandments. And his commands are not grievous. Go down. Can you imagine that? For whatsoever is born of God overcometh the world. And this is the victory. For whatsoever is born of God. Jesus was the true demonstration of that. Born of God. Man, you couldn't actually put him under your armpits. You see, or put him in a corner. He knew that he was born of God. For whatsoever is born of God overcometh the world. Now, what is this world? That world, when people think of the world, think of people, trees, mountains, what? Kenya, Uganda, world. The world. This world we are living in, you start actually now also thinking of things that you studied and they will never make sense to you. Mississippi. Another one, actually we were discussing it with someone. It's called what? Canadian prairies. Tennessee Valley Authority. You see that? I know some of you don't understand this language, but it's okay. Okay. Thankfully, I visited some of those places. See, so this is what we were studying. Niagara Falls. You see? You see how they cornered us? To study about them. To become more gullible and more gullible and more gullible. I can imagine that. You see? This is whatsoever is born of God. And now the world, do not actually just limit it to, the world, that world is actually anything that fell off from the floor of the life of God. Now that is what we call now the world. You remember when he says that he came to save the world? That which had actually fallen off, to bring it back into normal order. Into the order of the flow of the life of God. Because when you flow with the life of God, everything about you appreciates. Yeah? You understand? Now, here you can as well say that for whatsoever is born of God overcometh the world. Now, remember Jesus, him dying on that cross. Remember? Oh, okay, he goes down, then he comes up again after overcoming that which was actually making you stagnant, which had actually brought you fear, anything like that, anything deteriorating. And do you understand this language? Okay, let me go slow. Jesus comes the way, I want you to translate it like that. Whatsoever is born of God, now put Jesus there. That Jesus, let's say, was or is born of God. Of course, you know that you and him are one. You understand that? Overcometh that world. You know, after his death, he actually now conquered that which had actually fallen off. Whether it's people, whether it is, you guys get it? He overcame by actually, now, how do you even overcome? You can actually say that actually the element of him actually overcoming was actually for him when he resurrected. I can as well say to you that because you are born of God, with that illustration of Jesus actually resurrecting, because you are born of God, nothing about you dies off. You actually come out of it. Anything deadly, because death with its sting, you understand? Jesus goes down and actually he conquers it. Boop. The ultimate of death. I want to translate these things in the spirit. You'll actually be able to understand them. Whatsoever is born of God overcometh the world. What is that world? The ultimate of it was death. The ultimate of it was death. So whatever was deadly, or whatever is deadly, or was dead about you, what's happening? Somehow actually you come out of it. Somehow. You guys understand that language? Whatever was taking even the most deadliest landlord. Okay. When we say these things, some of you are, yeah, you see it? Until now you face it. Now when you are faced with such things, okay, the closest I can bring it is actually maybe landlord. When you are faced with them, and then they begin actually to text you some deadly whatever messages, you take off. So, where is the money going to come from? Now, a person who overcometh and is born of God, and actually, if you're born of God, then you are born of the Spirit. You become like wind. Okay. A man of the Spirit, born in the Spirit, is like wind. Yeah, the wind bloweth where it listeth. And thou, give us the what? You know? Okay, the wind blows wherever it pleases. You see? You hear its sound. Yeah? Now this is you, but you cannot tell where it comes from or where it's going. Now most of you, I can tell by the faces, you want to be known where you're going. You are that predictable. So yeah, I'm going. You see, there's no money. Now there you become predictable. Let me tell you, you can have 11K on your account, but you cannot tell where it comes from or where it is going. Okay, you can actually put, let's say going to put growing. So it is with everyone born of God, born of the Spirit, because God is Spirit. You guys understand this? Yeah? But you see, for you to become like that, okay, to be born of God, it is not religiously caught. This is a consciousness that you walk with. At some point, you have actually also to discern a few things here and there. Now, I've told you that discernment before. I've told you before that discernment is just not merely being suspicious. I suspect that girl is talking about me. So I have the spirit of discernment. I suspect that girl is going to quarrel. No. Then that is not, the person of the spirit. You see? Okay, there is a place where you can sense that, but not all the time, with the same person. Because actually, at some point, maybe that girl snatched away your boyfriend. Snatched. But again, you lose sight of the husband. You see? For whatsoever is born of the Spirit of God overcometh the world. What is that world? I said anything that is not, deteriorating, anything that is going downward spiral, anything that is not increasing, anything that is deadly, anything that is actually what we call now the world. Can you imagine? You actually, you hit it. Some of you are not yet aware of that. That actually you overcame. You overcame long time ago. But now, do you know how to be born of God? Do you know what that really means? Because again, a lot of people actually are born of the government. So whatever the government decides, and some guys from the opposition or the leading, whatever they decide, they actually now they flow with that. See, there's mandamanos. I don't want to put my life at what? Do you understand that? Now, a person born of God, you see life, and life. Do you understand that language now? Meaning also, I beg you, please don't put your trust in governments, because they don't have it. They don't actually have it. Whatever you're looking for is not from the president. But if that president is born of God, you remember the man of God, Elisha. There was a president friend of his, and actually he respected him. His name is actually Jehoshaphat. Somewhere he says, you remember when those three kings came to him? He said, first of all, he was biased to see the son of Ahab, because Ahab mistreated his father, Elijah. So when he saw these three guys coming with robes and what, but he saw Jehoshaphat, he said, man, okay, here now. Said, if I didn't have respect for Jehoshaphat, but actually if I say certain things, that's how I first go back, go to your gods, your father's gods and what? You see? Okay, Jehoshaphat. A man who would actually say, a man who would actually say that do we increase the taxes or we lower them? From the man of God, Elisha. And Elisha said, as the Lord of hosts liveth, before whom I stand, surely. Okay. The true picture, I'll show him to you. This is Jehoshaphat. When Ahab called upon him to go and fight what? Gilead, at Gilead. He said, we are going to actually ask, the man of God, Elisha. No, I think it was Micaiah. You see? But Jehoshaphat said, is there not here a prophet of the Lord, that we may inquire of the Lord by him? And one of the king Israel's servants answered, and said, here is Elisha, the son of Shaphat, which poured water on the hands of Elijah. Let me tell you, if nations don't recognize a certain voice, they might think that money will come through increase the taxes. Remember when I warned you that they will actually tax you, to the extent of actually of what? Taxing what? Mangoes. As if I saw it. Not as if I'd actually seen it. And some of you just laughed. Most likely I say those things like that, and people just laugh. And now, who are the culprits? If you could only pay attention, or maybe let me give you another way. Go back after here. You can record and all that. Go back and listen, because certain things actually you could actually have missed them. And listen when no one is actually disturbing you. For that 1 hour. Listen. You are actually meditatively envisioning all those things. I said they will actually, tax your mangoes, mango sellers. No, let us tax 0.01. Mango sellers? Okay. But Joshua said, is there not here a prophet of the Lord? He didn't say, well, let us do a conference. Let us gather at the conference hall there at KICC. And we discuss through how we can get money. You see? Okay. I don't want to say some things, even as I'm saying them. Okay. Some guys in there. Okay. You can be born of the government. You know how you can say, I'm Kenyan. Let me tell you, whatever is hitting Kenyans will hit you. You guys have to go beyond certain things. Kenyan. Oh yeah, even my ID. See, even my, you see, for us Kenyans, you see now the language, yeah? Whosoever is born of God. But you can as well decide that the government will actually decide how you will actually live. Yeah? Do you know you can go beyond all these borders of governments? Yeah? Yeah? Jehoshaphat was actually a king of what? A king of Judah. There were now two countries in one. There was Israel and Judah. Judah flourished. While in Israel, they were just suffering. Taxes after taxes. I leave the thing of taxes. But some people are dozing, so you should leave it. They are tired. You say, let me tell you. You can as well, do you know you can easily get a job that is actually not born of God. And you can sweat. And sweat. Labor and labor. Say, money is not what increasing. Yet actually, every day you are passing by that which is born of God, which can actually really increase you. Do you know how you can pass by? By really not even really understanding the true spiritual sense of partnership. You're actually passing by. You can actually come here and see passing by. Okay. What is partnership? See, it's giving. So we are supporting the ministry, supporting. Okay. Well, you can go support the NGOs. Yeah, they need a lot of support there. Now that they are taxing them. But you see, Jehoshaphat here, a man, and you can't even say that maybe he was actually born again or whatever, but for some reason, he had known. You remember, actually, it's the man that it was revealed to, that, this is 2 Chronicles 20:20. Give it to us. You see? Thank you, Jesus. And they rose early in the morning and went forth into the wilderness of Tekoa. And as they went forth, you see Jehoshaphat? Jehoshaphat stood and said, now, I know the man I'm talking about. If you guys are not dozing, you'll actually get to understand him. Stood and said, hear me, all Judah, okay, all Kenya, and ye inhabitants of Githurai. Okay, Jerusalem. Githurai, Kayore, what? What's this what? Karioko, Kariobangi, whatever. Man, says, believe in the Lord your God. Now you see, most of the times when we make a joke of Githurai, people think we are just what? Pointing fingers. Now, some people who come from certain places, they can't come out of houses. We are really saying certain things, and people think we are just joking. Have they left? And then a stone, shriek, God is my shepherd. What? No, I want it actually to hit you at some point and say, man, I'm tired of what? Is it? And all the inhabitants of the deepest sides of what? A place called, starting with K, somewhere. Okay, let me abbreviate it, Kasa. Deep ends there. Let me tell you guys, someday you will actually understand this language. And I don't want you to take long. I'm telling you. There are places I've not actually traded in physically. But when someone mentions it, I just get to know. Say, spiritually, I pick it and say, I sense no life there. I'm telling you. Believe in the Lord your God, so shall you be established. Then he says, why do you allow to become vulnerable and a culprit of mandamanos all the time because of such certain places? So that I won't come to sing because now, see. But you see, the way to get out, you think actually it is through hard work. It's not. It's never been. It says, believe his prophets, shall you prosper. This is a king. This is a president. But also, at some point, some of these kings can't actually discern. They think every man of God is what? Okay, take me back. You remember, again, Jehoshaphat said, no. He said, is it there? He's looking for a certain thing. But Jehoshaphat, but lakini, meaning certain things had happened. And he's looking around and this off. You see,
You know, that's actually why he says that not everyone that calls Lord, Lord
is born of him. You understand? You see? But Jehoshaphat said, is there not here a prophet of the Lord? So they actually, it can also mean that there are also prophets who are not of God. Prophets of Baal, who can really ill advise you. Some of them actually are your closest friends. You think actually it's the man of the pulpit. At some point you think actually a false prophet is the man that comes and stands before you and talks what. No. It's not actually not that. I've told you at some point that actually some of the greatest prophets, false prophets we have in the world, that foreign world. Now you know that the word world means that foreignness. World. Actually, that's why it comes to save it. You see, that whoever believes. So, some of the greatest false prophets. George Soros. Bill Gates. How can you talk like that? How can you talk like that about Bill Gates? He has given what? He has donated what? Lies. Lying vanities. I'm telling you the truth. And a lot of people are actually observing lying vanities by actually going to them to get donations and what? Climatic change, lies. And I don't care whether it's giving you money. But now, when you are there and you're dealing with climatic change, okay. Okay. Do you know why a heathen would actually come up with a thing called Facebook? You think it was just there, for fun and TikTok? No. It was actually to spread his agenda so quickly. And actually, one of the greatest weapons he has used is media. Whether social or whatever, whether private. I'm telling you. Okay. Media. So children of God, they've actually had a chance of going to those media houses. Now the system there swallows them up. We know some of them. And then they start talking like those guys. Because, you see, they fear to stand alone. They fear to be sacked. Where will I get the what? The money. Now, when you start to talk like that, you are not born of God. Okay, who is this God who can't defend you? And you're standing for him. You guys get it? There are things you cannot allow. You say, no. That's no. That one, no. But of course, there is a place of a remnant with the understanding of, by the way, I'm in the world, but I'm not of it. I'm in the world, but I'm not of it. I like the way my father put it. You see, then he gave an example of, let's say, Daniel, who studied the Babylonian, Babylonian what? System. The worldly kind of system. But in there is how will I hammer what? You see, and some of you are very funny. You enter a place, it's actually, you enter a place and say, for you, do you know limitless for you? You first study certain things. Do you understand? That actually, if they are chasing me this hour, you don't actually have to, Pray, do you know my father? No, we shall know. You don't have to tell us at some point. We shall know. Remember the king, the king, when Nani ruled. This is Daniel. The king went actually to the, to the den. Said, now I believe you're God. You see? Of course, there are elements. There are things that actually begin to show. You see that? But Jehoshaphat said, is there not here a prophet of the Lord, that we may inquire of the Lord by him? By him. And one of the king Israel's servants answered and said, here is Elisha, the son of Shaphat, which poured water on the hands of Elijah. You see that? Go down. And Jehoshaphat said, the word of the Lord is with him. Now can you imagine such a testimony? So the king of Israel and Jehoshaphat and the king of Edom went down to him. You see the three guys, eh? You see, eh? Eh? Marching to work. We are coming. Okay. Went down to him, eh? But of course now these guys are what? Eh? And Elisha said unto the king of Israel, eh? The man of God, what have I to do with thee, with you? Get thee the prophets of your father, and to the prophets of thy mother. Can you imagine this? Now, this is a man of God saying this thing. Today you say it, sign of, sign of what? Cult. Can you imagine it? Can you imagine he told me to go back to the prophets of my mother? And then children of God actually take offense. Maybe I should try it one day. With some of you when I meet you somewhere. So, yeah. You go, I'm taking my cappuccino. Jesus actually did it as well. To the other lady who actually wanted the Kasan. Was it a daughter? To be healed. And then Jesus said, man, I don't give this to dogs. And then he marched away. So, can you imagine? He called me a dog. You know, children of God take offense so easily. And also they want to know everything. You see, let me give you an example. A doctor will actually give you a prescription. I said 2 times 4. Is there 2 times 8? I don't know. Now there, you come to the prophet, he will pray for you. So, man. You see? I said, yes. And then they emphasize, make sure that you don't skip. And some of us actually follow those things to the dot. Now, when a man of God tells you that now you want to flourish, partner, isn't that also another way to what? To steal people's money? Isn't that what? But for you to actually for you to prosper through partnership, I'm emphasizing certain things for some time. You actually need to know why you are doing it, but also how you are doing it and with whom. And with whom? Because certain places, even if you want, hakuna kitu. Okay. Okay. That's actually some of you say, but God have given. But also now you cannot partner. Now you start and then after you start speaking that language. I even sing in choir. Sometimes when the choir people are not there, I usher. I try to find an opportunity, Lord, to serve you. No, that's not serving God. I remember I was with Albert, and then we met a certain guy someday in 2017 there in this nation. So this guy told us, so for me, I can do anything if it is of God, serving God, all my money, what? Related to some people, So, okay. But when I started to look into his whatever, he just said it because he was just excited. By excitement, fake excitement. You know there is the spirit's excitement. Yeah. I looked into it. No. Actually, I told her, but this guy was lying. And then I started seeing him, bashing some people on social media. You see that? Born of the devil. Born of God by letter, and born of the what? Of darkness, By what? By the Spirit now. You become like these guys, born again during day, but at night, man. You see, you see, so he says, but the king, even as I'm speaking this language, some of these people, because today, as I was actually praying, seeing certain things, whatever, like a certain song came to me, song of, when the wicked perish. I said, even this one, man. You see, man, even this, but don't they what? But you see, okay, maybe you shall what? Remember. Go to the prophets of your father and the prophets of your mother, but the king of Israel said to him, no, for the Lord has called these three kings together to deliver them into the hand of Moab. And Elisha said, as the Lord of hosts lives, before whom I stand, now this is an assurance. Some men of God fear to say these things. That's why they are prophets, but actually they can't prophesy. Do you know what they start saying? I sense. So that you don't hold them accountable. So that actually when certain things happen, no, I said I was sensing. So you can sense some things. What? No, you are using the 6 senses, 5 senses to prophesy. Meaning actually that you are catching those things in the physical. You understand? You see? Surely, were it not that I regard the presence of Jehoshaphat. Now this is a man of God. Who is talking good stuff about the king, king of Judah. I would not look at you, nor see you. Okay. You see, there are some families that come to see me. Some of them I bump into them. What? You see, and I look at all these guys. They've actually come with skepticism. But because of some people, I just humble myself. It's okay. Meaning, I give an ear. But if it wasn't like that, I would just hear. Sometimes I sit in some restaurants and I start to zoom into people. I do that a lot. Praying in other tongues, and I zoom into you. So, but I'm like, man, where are these guys? Just like, coming here, driving. You say, hey, where are these guys going? Some of them are carrying luggages. See, look at this one. And then there are the ones actually first to hold stones to throw in mandamanos. Child of God, don't think about those things. You are way past mandamanos. I'm telling you the truth. I'm not trying to preach. I'm not trying to preach about what is existing. Normally, I try to run away from that. I don't get summons from that. Let us pray for our country. Lord Father, we've gathered in your presence. Heal your land. Heal your land. Man. And then they get some smoke. Shoo, 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 shoo. And some water. Shoo, shoo. Man. Religion, eh? Then, to some people, this day, children of God have become reactors to things. They can't stand. I'll tell you. They've become actually reactors. And now you see mandamanos. There's night kesha. So, nice kesha, huh? So what is the Lord saying? No, we have to pray for these things. We have to pray about these things so that God might bring peace. Remember that story I've told you before, people? 2017, I saw it. But also I was told that, was it 2013 when you guys voted? 2017, I saw it. They gathered somewhere, going to break the spirits of Balaam, what? Jeroboam, what? Those things. Rehoboam, what? For what our forefathers did in this nation. Okay. Said, hey. So God had you. Yeah? So yeah. Some people will jubilate, others will go somewhere. So come 2022, still the same thing. Let us gather. So who is that God who didn't hear you? Meaning that you gathered around fake prophets around that told you things based on political inclinations. The Lord has said. Remember the guys that gathered around a certain guy who lost it? The Lord has said. Aki ukweli. And you're like, man, you guys, why are you suffering now like this? A friend of mine says, which kind of nonsense is this? Okay, yeah, it's nonsense, but which kind is it? You see that? They gather around people. You see that? Give me the story of actually Micaiah. I'm going to show it to you. You see that? You see? We actually, a certain guy who thought man, because to them actually, a prophet, I told you that guy who had actually wanted to see me since 2018. So 2019 I saw him. No, since 2017. And then the guy took me there at Ambassador House there. Find me here. So he sat in a restaurant, but the thing was hot, man. So when he saw me like this, he stood up, banged the mesa, said, but you are so young. Of course, I knew this guy, man of God, he has lost it. First of all, I had never entered Ambassador House. So I'm like, now man, where am I going? Find me second floor. Where have you reached? So he bought me a Coca-Cola, which I paid myself. God is my witness. See? Because you were so quick to say, no, you can have something to drink. When you meet people and then they are like, they are almost suggesting for you what you should take one. That's why actually a remnant of God has to be with money. You understand? So that you avoid some embarrassments. Please, remnant guy, don't do that to a girl, man. No, you take this. Take dawa, eh? No, dawa is healthy. Yeah, it's healthy, yeah. But man, today, I'm not in the mood for dawa. I want chicken. Huh? Man, the king of Israel and Jehoshaphat, the king of Judah, having put on their robes, sat robes. They come. Modernized robes today are coats, jackets, and ties. They come. Yeah? Only to hit their cars. I don't know, sir. The king of Israel and Jehoshaphat, the king of Judah, having put on their robes, sat each on his throne. Yeah? You see, with some bodyguards looking. Looking like Yvonne, like this. I'm joking. No, Yvonne is a good one. Security conscious. Now I want you to see more drama here. At a threshing floor, at the entrance of the gate, Samaria. And all the prophets prophesied before them. Yeah! The Lord has said, in fact, I had a dream. Man, it takes a supernatural prophet to see. Otherwise, there are places you people have gone to, some of you have been to, and you've actually been told certain places to go to certain places, but actually it's hell. Yeah. It's hellish. That business, you start it. But actually it's going to make you enter debt. And there are people that have actually started businesses. We expect them to be here also to intensify certain things. But they are not there. They are just there. Let me tell you, let me remind you another thing. Submission. Submission is greater than skill. I'm reminding you. Remember where we started from? Certain things, you do them for the Lord and they are registered. It's so easy for the Lord to actually remember you. They are registered in heaven. Somehow whatever is actually registered in heaven, it has to be remembered. Certain things actually people, some guys actually donate. That celebrity has a good heart. Wow. I wonder what people actually are celebrating in some guys. Say, man. I wish some of you would see them as they are. Okay. Let's watch Katani Kaputani here. You know Katani Kaputani, it's just beginning, a movie. Translated movies. I used to enjoy them. And if I have a chance, a good one, I will sit on it like this. Someday I went to Kampala, and I was passing a certain street. I said, this one. I said, translated? Say, yeah. But man, playing it, the thing wasn't clear. Katandi Kabutandisi. They entice you if you are outside. The moment you sit like this, after 10 minutes, the thing ends. Kathy knows those translated guys. Those translators. Now Zedekiah, the son of Chenana, had made horns. Thorns. Had made horns of iron for himself. See, They always do these things. Even make fortified cities for themselves. But the Lord actually will always make them crumble. He will make those walls crumble. So, this is. And he said, thus says the Lord, with this you shall go the Syrians until they are destroyed. Somebody say amen. Yeah, katika jina la Yesu. In the previous elections, man, we saw that drama. In Greek, it's called katemba, drama. Man, total drama, man. Yeah. And there's a guy in the corner there, what? Adding soup and what? You know tumbukiza, eh? Yeah, by the way, I like it. So, at least it's healthy, eh? Yeah, that one, whoever came up with it, they got it right, that one. Everything natural. So, and all the prophets prophesied so saying. Yeah? Yeah? You see, they had actually fronted that guy, Zedekiah. Go up to Ramoth Gilead and prosper. Yeah, I tell you. Even go and ask MP so and so. I what? Say, okay. For the Lord will deliver it into the king's hand. Then the messenger who had gone to call Micaiah spoke to him. You see here? They called also Micaiah, the true man of God. Now I'll show you how true men of God behave. Yeah? You will see that a lot in me. I'm telling you, if you know me very well. And sometimes you will come, yeah, what is it? Go. The Lord has given it to you. But some of you are very wise. They say, prophet, are you sure? You have now that second voice that is telling you, no. Here, he's just I've done this that Micaiah did to these guys. A lot to so many of you here. Some are not yet here. Maybe they were caught up. The road was cut off. Maybe if it was a river, but even with the river, I would say, how can I cross over the other side? Do I swim? Do I use a boat? I'm telling you, certain things. Only that a lot of people seek God in the flesh. So anything, flesh is limited, and it's so limiting. So anything can cut you off. Anything. There is a day, certain guys were thrown into fire. Into a fire. Say, no. Yeah, you throw us in there. It's okay. But now for you to actually speak such a language, you need to have decided on who to follow. Joshua put it very, very clearly that I and my household. Now, that household was actually a people that was actually determined to follow him because they had actually seen his testimony. You understand that? Yeah? So, now the rest, man. Okay. Call Micaiah. So, going to call Micaiah, spoke to him, saying, now listen, the words of the prophets are. The words of the prophets to entice him. There are also other prophets. Okay, let me come. He was not like that. At certain point, you need to understand that if you want it through a phone call, I am not that person. that you can easily call on by phone and catch me. Say a word, you know those guys. Pastor online, I'm not that. I'm not just like that. And you actually know that some of you guys have been told lies. Some of them, yeah. 1% maybe. By wise counsel. Not really by the Spirit. Okay. May I borrow or what? Okay. Okay. As if I'm seeing some people, trying to call some pastors. Now, if you don't understand my language, you will fall in some things, and you'll be like, how did I reach here? I try to make sure that I listen when we are ministering, so that actually everyone goes back with their portion, so that you will not regret somewhere if you make the wise decision. Now listen, the words of the prophets with one accord encourage the king. One accord, they are not divided. Please let your word be like the word of one of them. Oh. And speak encouragement. Now you see this messenger? Speak encouragement. Yeah? Those guys actually want to be encouraged. Man. And Micaiah said, as the Lord lives, whatever the Lord says to me, that I will speak. Say, Then he came to the king, and the king said to him, Micaiah, yes, please answer. Micaiah, shall we go to war against Ramoth Gilead, or shall we refrain? And he answered, go and prosper. Okay. Can I start this business? Yeah. Because I read the positioning of your spirit, of your heart. At some point, actually, you're already inclined to it. You've pictured there, they've lied to you, how you will actually profit and what. But me, at some point, I'm seeing danger. But if I see that you're already inclined, and family inclined, I say, yeah, start. Go on. Okay. Go on. Yeah, prophets, yeah. Go and prosper. For the Lord will deliver it into the hand of the king. Interesting movie, isn't it? So the king said to him, how many times shall I make you swear? He knew him. You see, at least there, he's starting to wake up a bit. That you tell me nothing but the truth in the name of the Lord. You see? Then he said, okay, so you want now the truth. Yeah. Don't start the business. The other one has started, this one has started. Everyone is what? Okay. At some point, actually, it is it can be property, can be boyfriend, it can be what. When I see that actually you are inclined, I say, okay. And let me tell you, at some point, you have to know, even those that have not come, to squeeze me to get 100% truth. You have worked hard. I'm telling you, even those closest to me, to squeeze me, you must have revised certain things. You must have gotten certain secrets. Normally, I will tell you something. Normally, I will see the end of the matter. And you see, that's what scripture says. And when you find such a man like that, then they carry the spirit of truth. To get 100% truth. Some guys are looking at me like this. So you mean even the other thing? All I'm trying to tell you is revise certain things. Like some guy, some lady told me about a certain relationship, about someone that is actually here. So I said her, but now this one will actually be disoriented. I said, but do they like each other? They like each other, yeah. Go on. But this person was, I said, Prophet, are you sure? Let me say it again. Some relationships are very, very irrelevant because they can actually disturb your service unto God. Because you see, that service unto God is where the real blessing is. It's not through the job. Do you know you can't increase through your job? Okay. Can I say it again? It is by the anointing. That one, take it to the bank. Yeah, when I get the job, I'll whatever. You are joking. Can we try it out? Those of you who don't have jobs, you can have jobs. You can have, and I'm not joking. Let us put it to a test. And we see you'll actually borrow more. Until now, I'm better off without this thing. Okay. Okay. Yeah. I saw all Israel scattered on the mountains, meaning in their places, as sheep that have no shepherd. And the Lord said, these have no master. See, you want the truth? Okay. Okay. This man, Micaiah, the prophet, wanted to save the day. He was a man of peace. He didn't want to see certain things. You see, that's why some leaders are kept there. I say, I say what? Also give a chance to what? You know, in the neighborhood. These have no master. Let each return to his house in peace. Meaning, don't go to Gilead. Don't start that car business. Yeah, even actually he prophesied to me that, that I what? And the king of Israel said to Jehoshaphat, did I not tell you? He would not prophesy good concerning me, but evil. You see, But this is a guy who was actually crying out for the truth. Then Micaiah said, therefore, hear the word of the Lord. I saw the Lord sitting on his throne. Now here is different. I saw the Lord sitting on his throne. None of the other prophets would actually give these details. This is a man who knows something more. And all the hosts of heaven standing by on his right hand and on his left. And the Lord said, who will persuade Ahab to go up that he may fall at Ramoth Gilead. Imagine this guy is being told things. Imagine his look. So one spoke in this manner, and another spoke in that manner. Then a spirit came forward and stood before the Lord and said, I will persuade him. This wasn't a bad spirit. It was the spirit coming. You know God has ministering spirits. Yeah? You understand? So this wasn't actually a bad spirit. Said, who can go and persuade? Some of you are persuaded into wrong relationships. A spirit has been released to disorient you. The Lord said to him, and you see it will come with enticing things. In what way? So he said, I will go out and be a lying spirit in the mouth. That spirit became a lying spirit in the mouth of all his prophets. The prophets of some guy, even as I see them. Tomorrow they will gather. Okay. Tomorrow they will gather. Yeah. If you had it. And the Lord said, you shall persuade him and also prevail. Go out and do so. Imagine. Therefore look, the Lord has put a lying spirit in the mouth of all these prophets of yours. I think the man of God was looking for the exit. Because he didn't come with, any bodyguard. Like those guys. And the Lord has declared disaster against you. Now Zedekiah, real drama, the son of Chenana, went near and struck Micaiah on the cheek and said, Pah! Which way did the spirit from the Lord go from me to speak to you? Now this was actually a guy who had purported to be the prophet of the nation. That apparently most MPs passed there. Yeah. But all they don't actually tell him is that they also go to the other side because they don't trust him 100%. Man, what we see in the spirit, I wish you could start seeing certain things. You will start to see some of these guys and say, why are they scared of this dude? Because he's working with some, 3 or 4 devils around him. Go down. And Micaiah said, man, now the man of God, cut a wire. Cut a wire here. And said, you shall see on that day when you go into an inner chamber to hide. When things have toughened, you'll see. How can you say that I don't start this business? I say, well, when you enter deep debt, you'll tell me. Or when they come and lock up your car business, don't say I didn't tell you. Now, when they go out there, because actually the majority have told them start the business, when they go out there, we are tagged false prophets. Yeah, even what? Okay. Go down. Say, so the king of Israel said, take Micaiah and return him to Ammon, the governor of the city. You see, man. Wait. Take him. Imagine the man of God seeing through the kawaya mesh there. Where am I? At some point actually they even blindfold you. So that man, they torment you. You can see the real movie here. The governor of the city. Good enough. The governor is just here now. Just there. Can even go there jogging. And to Joash, the king's son. You see this? By the way, let me tell you, you can't do these things to a man of God, a genuine man of God, and you get away with it. That one I tell you for free. I'm telling you. Even in your inner chambers, your deep secret chambers, just talking ill about the man of God, a true genuine man of God, you can't get away with it. Somehow, the Lord, the Lord shall remember that one. Somehow it will hit you. I remember a guy. I've told you guys some. One of some of you. When Prophet Elvis was honored, it was of God, because he tells us at some point that the Lord told him actually to restore honor in the church, because the church is the answer to all these things, but not the church which is just there. We have gathered to pray, not that church. No. You see? So I remember one of the the church members where I was somewhere talked ill the honor of 2017. Actually, I think it was the first one. It was actually the first one. Talked ill. Everyone talked ill. Everyone. Yeah. So this particular guy, because I knew him, it's there. It's on record. He was actually a guard. These guards who pretend to be knowing God more. So So it actually bothered me. Whoever was actually talking ill and what, because I knew they were actually talking out of ignorance. And you see, with spiritual things, you cannot plead ignorant. You can't. You either know or not. And what you don't know, please dig deep. Don't just bump into like people's conversations out there, whereby falsehood begins. Text the conversations of the day. Please don't enter certain conversations. But you see, some of you girls, you just want to speak. You just want to talk. Say, huh? Say, what? Even some boys. Because at some point, actually, you can enter certain calamity and you don't know how you entered there. I'm telling you the truth. So this guy, one day he's riding on a bike, piki, and actually he got a terrible accident, and one of the legs was actually amputated. Say, I remembered. Actually, I don't think that guy knows why that actually happened. You see that? Of course, and another lady, everyone thought they could actually now come up with things to talk ill. Now, when certain things befall them, what? Now they begin to actually now go into 40 days of praying and fasting because they don't perceive certain things. Please just leave those men of God alone. I'm telling you, just leave them alone. Whether you think they are false or not, leave them alone. By the way, for false ones that you think are false, don't give it some water. Do you understand? Meaning, don't give it attention. Just move on. Go with that which is true. True and liberating. That says the king. Put this fellow in prison. You see the torment? And feed him with bread of affliction. Man. Salty bread. I went to Brazil and those guys also don't like their bread for breakfast. First of all, it's hard and what? In Brazil. I don't know who introduced it. Affliction and water of affliction. Can you imagine? Until I come in peace. You see this guy? Go on. But Micaiah said, if you ever return in peace, maybe we should try it. But I'm speaking in effect of certain things. The Lord has not spoken by me. And he said, take heed. All of you look at me and all of you, take heed. Hey, you have heard what I've said. Say, yeah? Yes. Say, what? They started murmuring. False murmuring. So the king of Israel and Jehoshaphat, the king of Judah, went up to Ramoth Gilead. And the king of Israel said to Jehoshaphat, I will, you see now, you see these fellows, you can do all you want, but you can't escape it. I will disguise myself and go into battle. But you put on your robes, so that we confuse them. So the king of Israel disguised himself and went into battle. Aye. Now the king of Syria, had commanded the 32 captains. This guy was prepared of his chariots, saying, fight with no one, small or great, but only with the king of Israel. You see? So it was when the captains of the chariots saw Jehoshaphat that they said, surely it is with king of Israel. Therefore, they turned aside to fight against him. And Jehoshaphat cried out, it's not me! Okay, now what brought you into battlefield? And it happened when the captains of the chariots saw that it was not the king of Israel, so they knew him. This one, social media, whatever, inboxes and WhatsApps. This is the picture. This is the photo. Look out for this guy. Only. That they turned back from pursuing him. Now a certain man drew. Now you see, a random guy drew a bow at random and struck the king of Israel between the joints of his arm here. So he said to the driver of his chariot, turn around and take me out of the battle, take me to hospital, for I am wounded. For the big man to cry like this, things were bad. The battle increased that day. You see, it became so fierce. And the king was propped up in his chariot, facing the Syrians, and he died at evening. The blood ran out from the wound onto the floor of the chariot. Now, here what's happening, in effect, certain guys will actually run out of ideas, and then calamity. More calamity. What increases? Let me. Don't talk some things. And the king was, can you imagine? Go down, is there more? Or the movie ends there. Then, as the sun was going down, a shout went throughout the army, saying, every man to his city. You see now? And every man to his own country. Now you see what the man of God had told them? Please go home. Don't whatever. But you see, foolishly, there's And you see, you could have worked it out maybe last year and it worked. No. It has become stale. The Spirit of God is actually saying a different thing now. And you see, just like I always tell you, from here, still, a lot of people actually go back and actually use the same ways on how to get money. the day actually you'll wake up and realize that, people will say, I'm chasing after money. The day actually it will hit you that actually money is supposed to chase after you. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and all his righteousness, and all these things, money inclusive, shall follow you. So the thing of I'm chasing after money, let me tell you, springs from that foreign world. I'm telling you the truth. You'll chase it and chase it and chase it. Actually, it's common to non-believers, but also believing non-believers. You get that? Thank you, Jesus. Ye that is born of God overcometh. Now, there is something the Lord, as we end, is transpiring us into. You see, at a certain point, you need to stop becoming reactors to things. But actually, because you carry the life of God, these things actually, they come, they think actually that they've actually hit you, but actually they can't go beyond certain levels. So children of God, what happens is that this thing actually hits them, then let me pray for 40 days. Then they organize, rosaries and what, and all those things. Those things don't work. You look around, it's actually children of God who are reactors to things, to happenings. Boom, boom, boom. I was telling someone a few days ago, you see, why do you allow dictates of the world or of the day? You see, a lot of us actually just wake up and whatever the day brings. You remember that thing called command your morning? And actually, this command your morning is not Lord, so you know how people say, I wake up and I pray, and I say, then only to steal your phone. But God, I prayed. Okay. We are teaching us, not teaching us, but we are imparting certain things which are greater than just I woke up and prayed. Children of God convince themselves that actually when they wake up to pray, so the day shall go smoothly. The day will go what? Like I've said, the kafon, I've just used the example. But God, I prayed. But God, why do bad things happen to good people? You see that? And then somewhere they say, yeah, the will of God. No, it wasn't the will of God at some point. I'm saying at some point. Though at some point, it's better off it goes. Otherwise, it would have put you in danger for that time being. Okay. Then the Lord organizes a thief somewhere. I'm joking. So, most of the times, we allow the dictates of the day to determine our life for that day. You see that? Now that's the danger. And I'm telling you, I've seen a lot of children of God. I'm telling you, no wonder we've become actually reactors to a lot of things. You see, someday a man of God, Joshua, said, even you, son, you will not actually determine what I want to do. You know you can reach that level, because the son is under creation. And he told you to have what? Dominion even over the sun. Now, do you understand that language? You see, a disease comes, mosquito. They call it what? Plasmodium. Shwa, shwa. Say what? It's called what? Huh? That tablet which kills malaria. Yeah? Malaria queen. What about malaria king? Huh? Okay, we know of the queen. But what about the king? Is it? You see? So, then this malaria hits, and then we react. You see? You see? It actually is supposed to be the other way around. You understand? For you are your dumping place. So, like Africa. Second-hand cars, what? Yeah. Even third what? Third hand what? Fourth hand what? And then the guy cruises it. Yeah, yes, I'm driving. You see, whatsoever is born of God overcometh the world. Whatever the world to mean also that anything to do with negativity, you can overcome it. I'm telling you, you can overcome it, only that you don't know. Because actually, anything that you have come to know about God has been translated to you in the religious kind of language. So that's why it doesn't have the power. It should. It ought to. You see that? So, we allow dictates. Whatever the world throws onto us, you deal with it. Remember Corona, yeah. But actually, a man of God, Prophet Elvis, had actually warned people. Only that again, say, he had seen it actually in 2018. And he said 2020 is actually a year which is marked out. That actually when they were planning to put the entire world under their control. And then you start to see some guys driving that thing. Bill Gates, whom some of you actually are praising, and actually, you even quote him. Bill Gates, you hear these things in churches. I'm telling you. They quote Mark Zuckerberg. Who else do they quote? No, actually most of them don't know George Soros. That one, I tell you for free. They don't know him. Yet actually, that old guy is controlling certain things from somewhere. He's a demon man. Who else do they quote? There's a certain guy, Steve Jobs for Apple. Steve Jobs told us, they put down. And then to balance up the boat, scripture, Steve Jobs. And you find those things on pulpits. How do you quote a foreign man? By the way, there is nothing admirable about those dudes, those guys. I'm telling you. Britney Spears told us, Jesus. I remember some irony, some, these guys, all along they've actually been forming up that corona thing. You remember some of them actually started quoting Obama. How do you quote Obama? Now, I know some of you, these have been your icons. How can you? The only black American that what? Obama had to wait for he started 2 years to become president. So, you find those things in what? Me to quote Obama. Jesus. Okay, in that frame, I would rather quote who? Trump. In their realm. You see, at least he has the agenda of God at somewhere. You see, some of them, most of them actually are your icons. You are quoting Marx something? Karl Marx? Jesus. This is this other guy who was shot on his day of what? Yeah, Martin Luther King told us. And actually they carry those spirits of Martin Luther King, Martin Luther King, Martin Luther King. The spirit of Martin Luther King doesn't save, but the spirit of God. And this quote God, and actually not this quoting, where you're in danger. God, you say, I'm poor. Don't you have 1,000 cattle on 10 cows on 10 hills? What? You see that? Then we become reactors all through. You see? The day you will actually, as we end, the day you will actually realize that the world has to go by your commands and your determinants. You understand? Yes. So, no, this one, no. You see? And I don't care which disease, I don't care. You guys get it? Yes. Only that we've actually allowed to be swallowed up by those things. By dictates of what my boss said. But now you will know that on the inside of you, this doesn't sit in well with you, spiritually speaking. You understand? Now I'm not saying that you've been in quarrels with them all the time. No. You sense there's actually a certain way the Lord shall actually guide you on how to counter certain things. You understand? No wonder a certain man, David of the Bible, he comes and says, but who is this uncircumcised guy? Philistine to mean a boss. Yeah? Philistine can also mean a mother. Okay. Yeah? Now you are attacking mothers? Oh, the love of the mother. Some are fake, with their counsel. I said some. The love of the mother, not so. Family first. You be giving priorities to those things. You realize actually that family can't give you certain things. And then you run back to God. You wake up, say, now from today, my first priority is not the weather. Okay. And David spake. And you see, when you have such a language, you come like that. Do you know who starts to attack you? Your fellow brethren. Because actually, you read this text. His own brothers said, David, but are you... David, what are you drinking nowadays, man? What are you smoking? Smoke or drink and eat. What are you eating? Everything. You see? But I remember someday I was invited on NTV in the year 2020. Yeah? So I saw this person actually trying to squeeze me to talk about Corona. Yeah? Send an encouraging message to the people. You go back and watch it. Nothing. It is there. Does Google forget? No. It is there. He will help you find those things, him and Alpha. You see that? In fact, I rubbished everything. Because man, so they ask, everyone is dying. But we know where it has come from. But you see children of God, it's Corona. We knew the orchestrators. We knew exactly where it was coming from. So you want me to send a word of encouragement from the pits of hell? Yet actually the trouble causers, we know them. Actually, they don't want us to talk about those people because actually they were funding them to increase and intensify the message of Corona. Deathly messages. You guys were here. They even started burying, living people. Until now, some of them started coughing. Actually, those things actually were not shown on TV because they were really embarrassing. So you can't actually embarrass your master. You go back and see it. It was 2020. Either 2020 or 2021. 2020, I guess. Yeah. You know, some guy actually told me, encourage people. Yeah. So they gave me the what? The what? Yeah, the script. So you will end with the encouraging message. Because everyone had actually said so. They'd actually invited pastors and drama, lies. Can you imagine? Every pastor was invited. Yeah, you know what? No one was actually talking the genesis, about the genesis of where that thing was actually coming from, and how actually we can debunk it. Everyone's like, go home, pray at home. No! Actually, it is actually now this time when we should gather. But you see, because a lot of people actually were, because everything they throw at them, they react. They tell them, go home. Pray at home. Pray from home. Online. You want to spread the disease? You want to spread the disease? Yeah? I see here people who didn't want to put on what? Masks. Are you dead? No. You see, man, I would feel so bad. You in that guys, captivity. You see that? Then a day came and you woke up and you realized, man, this thing was a lie. Then now you're like, 2-3 years wasted. You see, they did a total blackout. Zwap! Well, for them, actually, they were passing in light. Buy off this one, buy off this one. Media. You see that? Now, when David came with that language, who attacked him? Fellow brethren, the church. So, man, for you now, what are you what? Why are you telling people? You want people dead? I remember we were ministering to a certain church, and this lady was a doctor. So we used to sit in a casako there. So yeah. So some died. What? I defied. So every time they put it, I said, no, at this, okay, when you're talking, you put it up. I said, well, I started defying, until now the assistant pastor, I think, was told that, okay, your group, I think, has faith, but some of these people don't have that faith. I told some of you, And then some guy's kid was always running without a mask. Yet actually the rest are what? Putting on. I say, also you tell what? The father to encourage the child to what? Man, total drama. I'm telling you. But now actually before we left, everyone's mask was off. A time comes actually when you have to do certain things like that. You defy. How will you know the grace of God? How will you know the taste of at least a bedroom house? Away from the bed sitter. Until now, again, lastly, you see, I've also come to realize that believing is actually not as I believe in the word of God. God was those things of one day God will come out for me, and then I will be good, I'll be well. I will actually shame all those that have been talking about me. At some point, belief or believing, actually it finds you when you are doing. I say that at some point. That's why at some point, man, you cannot squeeze some of us. Okay. Diseases have tried nothing. That one I'll tell you for free. Deadly ones, whom people out there are praising. They have tried nothing. Because we know that if God be for us, who can be against us? But also those things you are not just quoting. For you know, you get to know that he will never leave me. Actually, this is what this man actually went with. David. Now he says, now Eliab, his oldest brother. You see here? Maybe he was even a pastor. Brother had, when he spoke, he was reading for them memory verses at home before they sleep. And Eliab's anger was aroused against David. You see what arouses their anger? Because actually, you say, me, I'm going. Who is this? At some point, that uncircumcised Philistine can be pockets. Can be a job you've actually wanted for a long time, but actually, somehow they are putting your file down. Or they tear your knees, and some of you actually, man, you have actually faced some of these things. You even go out crying. Can you imagine they tore my what? My CV. In my face. Yeah, that's how the devil is showing you that he's so angry at you. But at some point you're like, who are these uncircumcised guys that are not giving me what I want? But again, the problem is we relent. They strike you. They refused. Even Sonko tried and what? So, see? So you are matching this to Sonko? You see the examples. Even Chris Kirubi tried and he died. So, are you Chris Kirubi? And you know some of you, I tried. Can you imagine prophet 10 times? There is a man who had actually, maybe I will say a lady, because the other one is recent. There is a lady. Some of you know the lady. Someday would go and practice from their place, somewhere there in the city. She had applied, she told me, 70 times. I just met her at a certain restaurant, laid hands on whatever. She bought me chips and a Coke. Just that. And I was happy. Because at that moment, actually, that's all I wanted. She went and actually, I told her, strike again. 2 jobs came. She called me, which one should I go for? Said, go for what you want. Today, she does it. And you see, calamity hits, and then they go back to zero. I say, yeah, the job you said. I say, what is that? They don't actually remember. That's why it actually says that when you eat and you are satisfied, don't forget the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of what? Egypt, out of the land of slavery. Don't forget. People forget so easily. You see, then David spoke to the men who stood by him, saying, what shall be done for the man who kills this Philistine and takes away the reproach? You see? Because most times actually I see the reproach that the devil actually, has actually brought unto your life here and there, blah, 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 blah. At some point you don't have to be like a David here. You go like, but he said, he will never leave me nor forsake me. But of course, after this Friday, he's gone. No, you don't have actually anymore his consciousness. You see that? Who is this uncircumcised? Who is this uncircumcised Philistine? What are these jobs? And who gives out these jobs? Especially if it's a non-believer or the believing non-believer. There. That's a sign for you to know that these things are up for grabs. Maybe if it's actually a real child of God. Those ones I know you just encourage. Let's go. You see? You understand that? Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. Brema Sara Korezi Karabar.